bad guy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Across the Gridiron. It is Friday, and we are here to therefore predict what we think is going to happen in Week 6. To do that, as always, I am with the one and only Eddie Equo. Eddie, how are you doing, my friend? How's your week been?
It's been very good. It's been very good. Gearing up for another London game as well this weekend. So it's been really good. Some good games we've got to talk about today. Really good games. I'm very excited about that. How are you doing anyway?
Yeah, well, I'm not looking forward to a London game like you. I am looking forward to driving my eldest daughter all around South Yorkshire to play netball. So, you know, there's levels, Eddie. There's levels of excitement for the weekend.
There's levels to this.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see us doing a big breakdown of my daughter's netball tournament this weekend across the court or whatever we would call it. So yeah, no, obviously, lots of good games to talk about. I mean, we talked about before we jumped on recording. Should we mention or should we not? We are recording this on a Friday. So we all know that Thursday night football happened last week, and Eddie, your beloved Philadelphia Eagles, lost again. So I'm just going to give you a quick minute to just get it out of your system. I'm sure we'll cover it more on Monday, but let it out. You know, how happy are you right now?
I'm so glad I'm getting my money's worth. You know, all these teams that I've been paying to take out the Eagles, and they're all coming back with terrible, reports of how they failed at doing one simple thing. But the Broncos and the Giants were like, "Hey, we got you. Where we can." And look, I was ecstatic, right? Because you're looking at the game and you're seeing how the game is progressing, and you're kind of thinking, the Eagles, they're gonna come back, they're gonna, win this thing. But when Jalen Hurts threw that pick, I was like,
you were able to keep your emotions in check. That's the main thing, Eddie. Yeah, it was
emotions in check.
Bit of a shocking result. Eagles aren't looking the team that they were. We said, are they gonna are they going to keep getting better? Are they going to be, from not playing well and winning? Are they going to play better and better and better and better? But no, they've been punched in the mouth twice in a row. So
we're going to break it all down. Going to break it all down. Yeah.
All right, but look, before we get into this week, let's look at how we got on last week. And I should have probably set this up before I started, but I'm just setting it up now because I'm that much of a professional. Okay, right. Let's see if I can get this together. Right, you can see, you can all see my screen, okay, can't you, Eddie? Like every single meeting we've had in the past few months.
I can.
Right, you can. Excellent. Right. So these are the games we predicted last week. Again, it says scores week 4. It should say scores week 5. Blame me. So for the international games, we predicted as follows. You had the Vikings. I had the Vikings.
Yep.
That is one that we both got right. So again, good start.
Good start.
For the Texans at the Ravens, we both went for the Ravens. We both got it wrong. Dolphins at the Panthers. We both went for the Dolphins. We both got that wrong. For the Cowboys at the Jets, you said the Cowboys, and I said more than out of hope rather than expectations that the Jets would win. So therefore, you got that one right.
Yeah.
And we both predicted the Giants to beat the Saints.
Yeah.
So I would have to say that, yes, you won this 2-1, but I don't think this is the type of week that we should be writing home.
No.
Let's be honest.
Move on. Let's just move on.
This was a week of shocks, wasn't it? No one saw the Texans going to Ravens and putting that level of score. The Dolphins was 17-0 up against the Panthers.
I know.
What on earth happened there? But I'm not going to spend time talking about Miami Dolphins. Ultimately, after week 5, it means that I am still ahead 14-11 as we go into week 6. So let's get into it then. So once again, you have picked 5 games for us to cover off. Don't know what's happened to our screen there. There we go. Everything's ultra professional today. So yeah, so let's get into the fives that we predicted, and let's start with the international game. Once again, you will be in attendance. I won't be. We've got the New York Jets versus the Denver Broncos. This can surely only go one way, can't it,
Eddie? Yeah. I mean, listen, the Jets have at some point going to show some life, right? And everyone keeps hoping that it is going to be this week. And to be fair to them, having watched them up close as they played the Cowboys, there is some good in the Jets. And if you went into that game at certain parts of the game, now look, the Cowboys dominated that game without question. But there were certain parts of the game that if you turn your TV and watch, you could see the Jets were moving with the ball. There was the drive that they moved with the ball and then they stalled, trying to get into the end zone because Breece Hall, fumbled it up, right? If they score that drive, it could be a different game, right? It could be because they could have scored the drive to go ahead. That game could have changed complexity. So there is some good with the Jets, but I think that the Broncos are slightly a better team. I mean, Joe Bonix has played a little bit inconsistently in the last couple of weeks, but they've still been getting the wins, and he's got a very good coach. And people might say that might be the difference between the Jets, and the Broncos. They've got a seasoned coach, Super Bowl winning coach on one sideline, and then you've got a coach who was a coordinator at the Lions, on the other sideline, and you might kind of err towards, the coach with the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go, this is tough, right? I'm going to go for a close game in this one. And maybe the Broncos just eke out a win. Because I think it really depends on who has the possession last in this game.
I think it's hard for anybody to side with the Jets in this one.
Yeah.
This is a 0-5 Jets. I think you're just being quite nice in case you see any Jets fans on Sunday. I'm not going, so I'll just say whatever.
Yeah.
This is Denver's game. You're right. Look, Denver haven't been consistent. Bo Nix hasn't been consistent. He is suffering from a little bit of second season syndrome, but he is he is brave enough to throw the ball down the field. They have shown signs this season of being the team. They've shown signs of being the playoff team that they were last season. Jets have showed nothing, right? I'm going for the Broncos. You're going for the Broncos. Right, let's move on to the next one. And the Bengals at the Packers. Now, I think the biggest talking point about this is the new quarterback who's probably going to be lining up for the Cincinnati Bengals. So during the week, the Bengals had enough of the Jake Browning experience, and they traded for Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, Flacco started the season at Cleveland. He got dropped. He got benched in favor of Dylan Gabriel, and we predicted that at some point one of those four Brown quarterbacks would be on the move at some point in trade. We didn't necessarily predict Cincinnati because obviously they had a fully fit Joe Burrows, but needs must, I suppose. Flacco is a solid hand to pass the baton over to. The one thing that Jake Brown just couldn't do. And it wasn't looking good, was it? He was throwing picks. They were turning the ball over far too much. And I think the team were getting wound up. It just wasn't working, was it, Jake Browning? So they've got in Joe Flacco, steady pair of hands until Burrows comes back. If they rush Burrows back at all, there may even be the case that if he's not a fully fit, the season's over, they may not rush him back at all. They may just keep him fit till next season. But how do you think this will affect this game against the Packers?
Not a lot.
Okay.
not a lot. I mean, it was a surprising trade for me because we're still in the same division as a team that you're trading to, and usually teams are always a little bit hostile or resistance about trading someone into the same division. They must consider that, and maybe that tells you everything. The fact that the Browns were willing to trade him to another team in their division, it probably kind of told you that they didn't consider him to be a threat, that he might not come back to bite them, understanding that, he would understand their system, he would probably understand their calls, and everything like that. They probably thought, hey, okay, it's not a big deal. Let's just send him there. No, I don't think it will make a difference. One I think is too short a time. And I mean, we've seen quarterbacks, get traded and get that bounce almost, in the new team. But we're talking about a Packers team, that everyone is sort of projecting them to go very far this season, and get into the playoffs and deep into the playoffs. So no, I don't. And the Bengals defense are not that great, right? I think it's one of the things that we've been talking about with the Bengals. They just give up way too many points. Same with the Ravens. I think the Ravens have caught that disease, caught that virus now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it will make a difference. I'm going with the Packers in this one.
Yeah, so am I. I think that we know that Browning is a drop off from Burrows. There's no giving away that, but I don't think that unless having Browning in was such a detriment to the team that actually the whole thing's fallen apart, I don't think simply putting in Flacco is going to make them a good enough football team to go on and win many more games just yet. I mean, I'm also going with the Packers. I'm just trying to think if there's any way I can pad the time out a little bit and just put up a case against the Packers or against, but I can't really. I can't. It'll be interesting to see. Wish Flacco luck, and also it allows from the Cleveland side. Obviously, Dylan Gabriel gives a chance to cement his place as starting. We may even see some Sanders now take a few snaps.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly pushes Sanders up because he's now the backup quarterback, and I think I sometimes it just shows you that all these teams are just human, right? Because you watch Dylan's performance against the Vikings in London, and then you get excited. You get excited for that flashy new quarterback who seems to have a pulse. He's younger, he's faster, seems more mobile, throwing a couple of touchdowns. People were saying that this is the first time that a starting quarterback for the Browns has thrown 2 touchdowns in their opening game in God knows how long. So that's enough to make them all giddy. So they're like, build a house for him, give him the keys, give him everything he wants. This is our guy.
Yeah, so, I hope he does well. I mean, it's been an absolute. The Browns are. I know we're spending a bit too much talk about the Browns, given we're not predicting them, but the Browns need to nail down the starting quarterback. I read a stat, and I was just trying to bring it up as you were talking there. So in the 2010s, the Browns have started 11 different quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's in less than 5 years. They've had 11 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That's just not sustainable. And obviously with Gabriel, he's going to come. He's going to have great games. He's going to have disappointing games. Jackson Dart, for instance, wins his first one. He gets thrown out pretty much in the second game. I can't remember who it was against.
It was the Saints.
Yeah, and Saints. That was it. Thank you. And then they win last night against Eagles. So they're going to have these times where Gabriel looks great and he doesn't look good. But anyway, let's move on to the next game that we want to predict. For me, this is probably the game of the weekend, purely against the quality of the teams. We've got the Bucs and the 49ers. And it's 49ers at the Bucs, I should say. So it's in Tampa, I should say. So both teams are 4-1. Both teams are sort of, well, I won't say define expectations, but 49ers have had injury problems. The Buccaneers have been fourth quarter kings, I think it's fair to say, so far this year. Tough one to call. Where are you going for this one?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think if you looked at both teams and then you said both teams are 4-1, you might be like, one of those teams has a very surprising result. And you wouldn't think that that's the 49ers. You'll be thinking that's the Bucs, like they're falsely in 4-1. 49ers are always the better team. But actually, in this case, the 49ers are the ones everyone will be surprised that they are 4-1, considering their performance last season and how miserable they were. And somehow they're 4-1. So that really keeps this very interesting. But the Bucs only seem to perform when they're points down. So we don't know. This might be one of those games where, to keep it interesting, the 49ers might have to go ahead. And then, in the fourth quarter, we can see the, Baker Mayfield show, come into real effect. I think I'm going to go with the 49ers in this one. I think the Bucs is everyone's sort of darling now in the NFC. Everyone is, looking at them and sort of saying, you know what, they're the team that are definitely going to go far. But I've watched this NFL far too long, and you can't keep, depending on fourth quarter comebacks to win games. At some point that well's going to go dry. You only need to meet a good defense, for that now to work. And remember, the Bucs didn't try that, and that one loss was against the Eagles, and you could argue the Eagles was a very good defense. They couldn't bring that forward. They tried, but they couldn't go all the way to the comeback. And I think that the 49ers have got similar talent in their defense. So if the Bucs leave it to do a fourth quarter comeback, I think they fell. And I think that's how the 49ers win this game.
Yeah, I think you make a strong point there. At some point, the Bucs are going to have to take the leading games rather than at the last 3 minutes if they want to go. I mean, look, I'm sticking with the Bucs because I picked Bucs a couple of weeks ago to be my sort of dark horse in the NFC. So I'm not going to change that today. So I'm going to stick with Tampa. I believe in Baker Mayfield at the moment. Do I believe he's got enough to take them all the way? That remains to be seen. But no, I've really liked what Tampa have done this season.
Yeah.
They've got Booker as well, who's looked fantastic. Yeah, I
love
you. I know you love him.
I love him. He's a stud, absolute stud. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least that is something different for this week, because I imagine the next one we're going to agree on. So, Eddie, tell me why you think the Carolina Panthers are going to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
If this game is played in Mars, so I'm just kind of thinking of reasons why the Panthers are going to beat the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys have played the Panthers every single season now in the last 3 or 4 years. And there's only usually one outcome, and that's the Cowboys winning against the Panthers. We played them last season as well. I do not see the Panthers keeping up scoring with the Cowboys. Now, last weekend, the Panthers won the game, and they won it on the back of former Dallas Cowboys running back Rico Dowdle, who went for 1,000 yards. Literally,
he's still running.
He's still running.
Well, do you made to think about that? And I think this says more about the Dolphins it does about, I think. So he ran for 206 yards in a single game against the Cowboys. I don't think he had combined for anywhere close. I don't think he even got 100 yards throughout the rest of the season combined. Right. They ran all over the Dolphins. And to me, that just shows how weak the Dolphins are. Right. And more than anything. And fair play to Gridiron. He was man of the match in that game. Deserved his yards, and we know you will have to admit the Cowboys' defense has been poor.
They give up to everyone.
So maybe Dell could actually get 300, 400, 500 yards in this game. Who knows? So again, I just thought that was an interesting. I mean, look, he did fantastic, but against the Dolphins, but I think I think a lot of running backs would have enjoyed playing against the Dolphins last week.
Yeah, listen, I think that I would say that this might not be a blowout, because the Panthers, they surprise you, right, in games where you think that they don't have any chance, and they somehow, manage to do something. So I think that it will be close, but I think the Cowboys are probably going to do what they did in their last game. Go ahead. And you know what they say about the last 4 minutes of the half and the first 4 minutes of the half usually decide the game. And that's what decided the game last week for the Cowboys. So I think Cowboys are great, just before the half, if you give them the right possession, because they've got Brendan Aubrey, who can kick from 70 yards back. And Dak Prescott is very good when it comes to 2-minute offense. So I think this game might be 2 scores by the halftime. So I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys to win this one.
Yeah, I'm tired of picking against the Cowboys just to annoy you. I'm going to stick with the Cowboys as well for this one. That means if I'm wrong, I'm happy, and if I'm right, I'm happy. So here we go. So, let's move on to the final game that we're going to pick is the Rams at a beleaguered Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, we talked about this. The Ravens are an absolute horror show at the moment, given where everyone thought they would be. They just seem to be a team in turmoil at the moment. I mean, it's one of these things. I'm picking the Rams for this one because the Ravens seem just be miles away from where they be. They just don't know themselves at the moment, and they're a team sort of in a bit of a tailspin. But at the same time, the Ravens could turn up any week and actually put a team to the sword, right? So I don't think it'll be this week, but I think it will be the Rams.
The way you were teasing that up, I was like, I'm thinking, is he going to go with
No, I said up front, I'm picking the Rams, but it's one of these things. You look at each game and you think, okay, well, Baltimore at home, if they turn up, they can win. But I don't see it this week. So I'm going for the LA Rams.
I thought you were talking yourself in there.
No.
You're talking yourself to go for the Ravens.
No. Rams, baby.
Listen, it's the Rams. There's just no way. There's no way to kind of pick the Ravens right now. I don't know. I'm really shocked. But I mean, I guess it really shows that the NFL is a really, really difficult league, right? You wouldn't think that a team that was so good can near on implode. But what are we talking about? This happened to the 49ers last season. They were a shell of themselves, couldn't win any games, and you're thinking, what's going on? People coming in, and I think once you get into that losing streak, it's really hard to pull yourself out of it.
Yeah, losing becomes a habit, doesn't it? It's a hard habit to get out of.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. But no, I'm going for the Rams. I think the Rams win this one.
Well, so I think we're being a bit boring this week. Yeah, we've both got the Packers, we've both got the Cowboys, we've both got the Rams, we've both got the Broncos. The only point of difference is the Bucs versus the 49ers. So this is all on that game. But no, look, it's shaping up to be another interesting week of in the NFL. Last week we had a huge amount of shocks, comebacks, and God, who knows what this weekend's going to bring. My only hope, Eddie, is you can actually get inside the stadium in time for Sunday to actually see everything. No fanning around with tickets or anything along those lines.
So you know what I've done? I have downloaded my ticket already. Right, I put it into the wallet. I don't want
you're actually prepared.
I'm actually prepared.
Right. Okay.
And hopefully this time around, when I go in early, I'll actually be able to take, enjoy the whole atmosphere and build up to it. And actually, I've just got myself one of those small camera, not cameras, one of the small lapel microphones. So I'm going to test that out. So this is going to be the first time I'm going to test that out.
Yeah.
I can capture a little bit more of the atmosphere.
And
Right.
the arguments with the stewards and why can't you let us in? I've been here for ages. I mean, look, the good thing is, Eddie, when you go to as many games, all the London games, which you are doing, it means you get to just experience different parts of it, right? So you get to experience the fan zone, you get to experience the matches, you get to experience queuing in a ticket office, you get the full fan experience. You get to experience the rush to get in after missing the first match. Yeah, you never know, right? In one of these games, you might miss a whole first half. Right, you never know. You know, there's so much things. There's so many things for you to enjoy and experience.
Don't say this because I don't. I'm not. I'm hoping, right, because I'm worried about this game, right. It's one of those games where you're not quite sure how it's really going to turn out because you don't know if it's going to be fireworks, right. These are not two teams that generally, score, for the fun of it. So I'm hoping that there is sufficient entertainment. But London has a way of spicing things up. Look at last week, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it does add a little bit. And these two teams are traveling, so no one has like an advantage of already being in London like we thought the Vikings would have because they were already here for the Ireland game. So yeah. It's looking interesting. And then the upper week we've got the Jaguars, coming up to London as well.
So. Absolutely. Well, lots to look forward to. Lots to look forward to. So as I said, picks are in. We'll be back similar time next week to see how badly we have done once again. But Eddie, heading to week 6 for now. Just take us home.
Yes. So what a great week of prediction for us. I'm giddy because obviously I know what has happened to the Eagles. I've got an insight into what week 6 already looks like. But, if your team is playing this weekend, I think all that you can hope for is that your quarterback shows up and you have an enjoyable game. And I will be doing exactly that, in London. I will be enjoying the game. And then I'll be watching the Cowboys on the train back. So don't forget, guys, to hit that like and subscribe button. And we really appreciate you guys being with us. And we thank you for coming and watching the show as well. We're also on Twitter, X, across the Gridiron. So to follow us on that too as well. And until the next one, everyone be safe. I'm the bad guy. I'm the